Some people walk through life carrying secrets so heavy, they shape every single breath they take. Some love in silence, some sacrifice in the shadows, and some mothers, they give up absolutely everything just to watch their children live better lives. If you have ever felt unseen, unappreciated, or completely forgotten, this story is for you. For 20 long years, every single morning before the sun even thought about rising, an old cleaning woman named Martha would arrive at a towering glass building downtown. Her hands were rough and calloused. Her back was bent from years of hard labor. Her shoes were so worn, they were thin as paper. Yet, every single day, she would clean the exact same office on the very top floor, the office of a powerful, handsome young CEO named Daniel Brooks. She would carefully dust his large mahogany desk. She would wipe his floor-to-ceiling windows until they were spotless, offering a perfect view of the city he had conquered. She would straighten his expensive leather chair. And while she worked, in the quiet solitude of the early morning, she would whisper prayers for him. Prayers for his success, for his happiness, for his safety. But Daniel never noticed her. To him, she was just the cleaner, a part of the building's machinery. He would walk right past her without a glance, his mind already on multi-million-dollar deals and board meetings. Sometimes, he wouldn't even offer a simple greeting. Sometimes, he didn't even seem to realize she was there at all, a ghost in his own office. And Martha, she never complained. She never said a word. Because Daniel was her son. 25 years ago, Martha was a poor, scared teenage girl. She became pregnant after a brief, whirlwind relationship with a man who vanished the very moment he heard the news. Her family, ashamed and unforgiving, rejected her. The small village she grew up in mocked her relentlessly. Her friends, one by one, abandoned her. With absolutely no support and not a single penny to her name, she made the hardest, most gut-wrenching decision of her entire life. She gave her newborn baby boy up for adoption. But she never, ever stopped loving him. Every year on his birthday, she would lock herself away and cry. Every holiday, her heart would ache as she wondered if he was safe, if he was happy, if he was loved. And every single night, without fail, she prayed for him. Years later, while cleaning offices just to survive, she was wiping down a table in a waiting room when she saw a young man's photograph on the cover of a company magazine. The headline read, "Youngest CEO in the city, Daniel Brooks." Her heart stopped beating. The world around her went silent. She recognized those eyes. She recognized that smile. And she recognized that tiny, almost invisible birthmark on the side of his neck. It was him. It was her son. Without a second thought, Martha applied for a cleaning job in that very same building. Not to reveal herself, not to disrupt the successful, beautiful life he had built, but just to be close to him, to see him with her own eyes, to know, for certain, that he was okay. So for the next 20 years, she cleaned his office. She watched him grow from a determined young executive into a powerful, respected businessman. She celebrated his successes in the silence of her heart. She cried over his stress in the privacy of her tiny apartment. She would find his notes, crumpled in frustration, and smooth them out. She would pray over his empty chair after he'd worked another impossibly late night. Sometimes, she'd pick up his coffee cup, still warm from his touch, hold it close, and whisper to the empty room, "My son." Daniel saw Martha every day, but he never truly saw her. He thought she was just another elderly cleaner, interchangeable with any other. Sometimes, he'd get annoyed and complain about a speck of dust on his bookshelf. Sometimes, he'd even scold her for missed spots on the window, his voice sharp with impatience. He never imagined that this quiet, hunched-over woman had given up her entire life so that he could have his. Then one bitter winter morning, Martha collapsed in the hallway just outside his office. The usual morning bustle of the building went eerily silent. An ambulance was called, and Daniel, annoyed by the commotion and the delay it was causing, stepped out of his office to see what was going on. He saw the cleaner, the old woman, being rushed away on a stretcher. And as they passed him, something in her pale, still face struck him. Something deeply familiar. Something painful. He couldn't explain it. A strange pull, an instinct. He followed the ambulance. At the hospital, a kind nurse approached him and handed him a small, old, worn-out purse. "She kept calling your name," the nurse said softly. "Daniel." Confused, Daniel opened the purse. Inside, tucked away in a worn leather flap, was a faded photograph. It was a picture of a newborn baby, wrapped in a simple blanket. And holding him was a teenage girl with tears in her eyes, but a universe of love on her face. He turned the photo over. On the back, written in a shaking, delicate handwriting, were the words, "My son, Daniel, born in love, given away in pain." His world didn't just tilt. It shattered into a million pieces. The air left his lungs. The strength left his legs. He fell into a chair, the photo trembling in his hand. Later, DNA tests would confirm it. The cleaner he had ignored and dismissed for 20 years was the mother who had never, for a single second, stopped loving him. Martha survived, but just barely. When she finally opened her eyes, the first thing she saw was Daniel. He was kneeling beside her hospital bed, his expensive suit rumpled, his face stained with tears. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice cracking. "I am so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't see you. I didn't see your pain." Martha managed a weak, gentle smile. Her voice was barely a whisper. "I didn't need you to know," she said softly, reaching a frail hand to touch his cheek. "I just needed you to live." Daniel resigned as CEO the very next day. He sold half of his company, a fortune he no longer cared about. And with that money, he built a foundation dedicated to supporting single mothers, cleaners, and all the forgotten, invisible workers who hold our world together. Martha never cleaned another floor again. Instead, she finally sat in peace, not in the shadows, but in the light, beside the son she had loved in absolute silence for over 2 decades. Sometimes, the greatest, most profound love in your life is standing quietly right in front of you, unnoticed. It's in the person who makes your coffee every morning, the one who holds the door for you, the parent who calls just to check in. Be kind, be gentle, be patient, because you never, ever know whose heart is breaking silently for you, or whose silent sacrifice is paving your way. As the great Maya Angelou once said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." May we all learn to see beyond the faces and the job titles. May we notice the invisible work, the unseen efforts. May kindness soften our hearts and open our eyes. And may every forgotten soul out there finally feel seen, heard, and deeply, truly loved. If this story touched your heart, you will find more emotional stories that heal, teach, and inspire on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video, because you never know, someone out there really needs to hear this today. Thank you for watching.